Hi, Grace Hart here, and welcome to Energetic Self-Defense. Today's topic is receiving your energetic superpowers. Now, I'm being a bit cheeky because you already have your superpowers. You've already received them. It's more about, are you willing to acknowledge it or acknowledge them, claim them, own them, and see the beauty and value in them? What if we stopped trying to be other people? It's great if you recognize superpowers in somebody else. You might want to duplicate them. That's fine. However, there's a real gift and a kindness in you willing to claim, own, and acknowledge your own individual superpowers. And yes, that has an S, plural. What if there's more than one? And what if you have access to a whole supermarket of superpower energies? But let's start with the ones that maybe you might be aware of. Now, one of the things that can really help is, do you have someone in your life who doesn't judge you, who's a kindness to you and for you and with you? And when I say kindness, I don't mean someone just telling you what you want to hear. Someone who's with you with no point of view and no judgment, and really just there and is excited to see you thrive and celebrates you and desires you to be everything that you would wish. If you're lucky enough to have one or two people like that, or maybe more in your life, ask them. Say, hey, what do you love about me? What is it about me that makes you want to be my friend? And the interesting thing is, you might just get some, standard comments like, I love being around you, or you're funny, or, you don't judge me. And eventually they will say something where you may have a body response to, you may tear up, you might just know that's it. That's one of my superpowers. And it will be something that you might just shrug your shoulders at, like, that? Doesn't everybody have that? Or doesn't everybody do that? No, it's a superpower. And you know people who walk into a room and it just feels different. I remember when I had my car accident, the next day there was a man that walked into the ward, and I just knew from the way he was looking that he was coming to my bed. And it was obvious that he was, either a surgeon or something like that. And as soon as I saw him, my whole body relaxed, and it was like, it's going to be okay. Because up until then I'd heard, you're not going to have kids and you're not going to be able to walk, and, just the shock of the trauma of the accident. And he only spent a couple of moments with me, and I'll never forget it. He just walked up and just basically in his way, I don't remember a single word he said. What I recall was the energetic beauty that he was and is. And basically, he was speaking energetically with all his superpowers, and he was saying it's going to be okay. Now, what came out of his mouth was just normal stuff, like, this is what I've done, and this is the stitches I used, and, you should be okay in this way, and, but really what I was receiving was an energetic communication that instantly my body just went, oh, we're okay. We're going to be okay. So one of the things that you'll recognize is, if you walked into a room, what would show up? Do you bring a level of confidence or kindness or enthusiasm, optimism? And it doesn't have to be this, huge booming superpower. When somebody is in a room that doesn't judge, can you get the difference that makes to the room and the people in the room? And there's something so beautiful about kind people who don't judge. And it is a superpower. So I have lots of superpowers. One of my superpowers is seeing superpowers in other people and helping them to claim and acknowledge it. And I love that. I just love that. I love seeing people just turn on, that they just, they just come in contact with their essence, their very being. And who you be is a powerhouse of superpowers. Except we're so busy, as I talk about with my Beyond Domestic Violence podcast, we're so busy being other parts of ourselves, things that we think we need to be or should be, instead of actually coming to the center of the flower and saying, okay, let's be with this. If I did have a superpower, what would that be? What is it that people say about me? And you'll notice it if you're willing to receive it. Ask for all the blinkers to come off. And when I did that, what I started to hear was sweetness, kindness, enthusiasm, giggles, laughter, and people talking about my voice, and people talking about how they wish that they had me in their ear. You've got me in your ear. So, and that's me being one of my superpowers, right? Speaking to you. And when it's a superpower, it can't be, what's the word that I'm looking for? There's an authenticity. There's a raw and real when someone's being willing to be vulnerable enough to acknowledge their gifts, their talents, their abilities. It takes courage. And what I've noticed for me, one of my capacities is kindness and caring. And as much as I have no idea maybe who you are listening, and I may never meet you, or I might, I genuinely care. And so that's one of my powers. That's one of my superpowers. We may never meet, but I care about you. I care about if you're hurting. I care about you. I care about you. It's really simple. And then someone who doesn't have that, it's not that they're necessarily a bad person. It's just not their superpower. Another superpower I have is ease. No matter what happens, there's an ease. So what are your superpowers? What do people say about you that care about you? What's beautiful about you? What's something that you could do and do and do and do and be and be and be and be, and it doesn't take from you. It actually brings energy in to your being and body. Like when I'm being enthusiastic, I get energy from that. It's not why I do it. It's just when I'm being me, there's an energy flow. When I'm not being me, there's no energy flow. And so if you're feeling depleted right now, there's a good chance that you're not being you. And there's a good chance that you're probably functioning from one of your disassociated parts or petals, as I call it. So the first step is the acknowledgement. If you don't acknowledge what country you're in, how can you acknowledge where you want to go, right? And the interesting thing is, with kindness and caring, the reason why I dynamically shut that down is it was always misinterpreted. Because this planet, when you say something kind to someone, they're taught to think that there's an agenda. And generally speaking, people do function from agendas. And so then you get this sort of weird twisted thing where you can sense their judgment. And then all of a sudden the gift of you, that kindness and caring of you, has been bastardized by you receiving their judgment and making it real and true for you. And what I'm saying now is, please don't do that. I've done that. It's so unkind to everybody. Just be an allowance that not everyone will get your superpowers or require them. Or they may even find that your superpowers make them so darn uncomfortable that they don't want to be around you. Because generally speaking, when someone is being vulnerable enough to be their superpowers, to be the being that they be, you're going to get generally two reactions. You're going to get people going, oh my goodness, you're so delicious. I just love it when you're being you. And, you inspire me. You inspire me to be me, and you catalyze me, and I'm so grateful I'm your friend, and I'm so grateful I know you. And then there's other people that are so living on their petals, and maybe you don't even know the being that they be. They might not have access to it due to trauma or whatever reason. And they can look upon someone who's being raw and real, being vulnerable enough, and that might just frighten them, because they have a moment then to either acknowledge, wow, I would love that. I would love to be that real. I would love to be that vulnerable. I would love to be that happy, or I'd love to have that enthusiasm. And they might not be willing to do what it takes to come into the center of their flower and to claim, own, and acknowledge the being that they be. And so then their only other choice is to make you wrong. And unfortunately, when, miss enthusiasm, my friends call in a really positive way. There's miss enthusiasm. She's just walked into the room. Or there's sweetness and kindness. She's just walked into the room. And, it's for those out there, the kindest thing that you can be for someone is to receive them with no judgment. And so when kindness walks into the room, when enthusiasm walks into the room, when ease walks into the room, what are you willing to receive? And also, imagine if I didn't claim, own, and acknowledge that about myself. And so then when I walk into the room, it's this hiding of the kindness and sweetness, because I've bought the projection and judgment from other people that what's the point anyway, because they're going to think that I want something. They're going to think that, there's an agenda. So, it's safer and easier just to be kind in my little box and be kind in a way that works for me. And what that is judgment. It's putting you into a place of judgment where I will only allow my gifts, talents, capacities, and abilities to come out when it looks like this. And now I have a completely different point of view. I'm willing to show up as the kindness I be, as the enthusiasm I be, or whatever it is that I am. However, it's not about projecting that into a room. There's a really big difference between someone going, I have the superpower of enthusiasm and I'm going to spray that shit all over you. That's not kind. That's actually you perpetrating on your superpowers. What it looks like is I'm me, the being that I be, the beauty that I be, and I'm showing up. And because you're showing up and you're aware of all your superpowers, if someone in the room could do with a bit of enthusiasm, it would naturally just go there. The energy. You wouldn't have to think about who in the room needs my enthusiasm. You don't. That's judgment. And when I say that's judgment, if you're doing it from that energy, of course you could ask a question. If you're going into a business meeting, what energies, what superpowers can I bring to this from a generation and creation, not from I need to, inflict this, or I've got, this is superiority, with superpowers or whatever. That's a whole different energy. When you're being you and you're willing to claim, own, and acknowledge the beauty that you be, however it shows up for you, because everyone's got different superpowers. And you want that diversity. So are you willing to acknowledge and even ask questions? If you're like, I don't know what my superpowers are. Start by asking some questions to those that have your back. What is it that you love about me? If I had a superpower, what do you think it would be? And the other thing is, when you gift, receiving happens automatically. It's like when you touch, it's impossible not to be touched back. That's touch. You can't touch someone and not have the touch back. Impossible. So if you assist others in a way that you would like to receive, and not from that energy, like I'm going to go and help people because I want to get helped. That doesn't work that way. It's more like, oh, I have a superpower with enthusiasm. And then you might recognize somebody would require that. And so you assist them. And also anything that you're, quote unquote, lacking. So maybe you're not a very happy person. So what if you assisted someone to be happier? Now, I don't mean from a codependent. I mean from an actual expansion and creation. What can you bring, bring joy to somebody? Say if you're not feeling happy and you're walking down the street and you've got there's something you can do for someone else that would just bring them happiness or joy. Go do it. Because there's no separation between us and other people. So when they get happy, you'll receive that. It's impossible not to have that gifting and receiving. Now, what I do want to invite you to, well, it's something I desire for you if you're ready to hear it. There's receiving and receiving. And there's acknowledgement and acknowledgement. Just like there's a kiss and a kiss, a touch and a touch. There's a spectrum. There's kindness and then there's kindness. So I'm curious, your capacity to receive your superpowers, are you willing to expand that? Are you willing to ask for your receiving to be opened up, expanded on? Because one of the things that can happen when you're so busy trying to be someone, instead of acknowledging you already are someone, you're already being, that your beautiful being's there. And it's so unique. And it's so delicious in its own way. And it's so beautiful in its own way. And that's the gift. So what if you took some time today to open up to receive the beauty that you be? Truly be. We're all seeking validation. I was gifted a ticket to see Oprah live here in Australia, and it was a great talk in so many ways. However, there was this moment towards the end where she said, people always ask me, why you? How come you're so successful? What is it about you? And she said she asked that question for a long time, and she had different things flow in and out, and nothing really stuck. And then she really got the awareness of what it was. And she said, after every single interview, without fail, when the camera turned off, recording stopped, she said it didn't matter whether she was speaking to a president, a mom, whoever, whatever they did, whoever they were. Every single time without fail, they turned to her and in their own words would say, did I do okay? Did you get what you wanted to? Was that all right? She said, without fail. And she realized that we all need validation. And so for her, it was, she's got a superpower of validation. And when you're really hurting and crippled or really disassociated or separate from yourself, instead of realizing you can't see yourself, you can't see your gifts, and so you go into this need for validation. Because if you were from the center of the flower and you gave an interview and you were present the whole time, present with your beauty, their beauty, what you were going to create and generate together, when it stopped, you'd be like, yay, that was so much fun, thank you. There wouldn't be this, did I do okay? Did you get what you wanted? Am I okay? Because that's what you're saying. And so I'm here to say to you, you are okay. In fact, you are a beauty. You are such a beauty. And if you don't feel that, and I get it, I'm only just coming into really getting it now. It's okay if you don't feel it. It's okay if you feel the opposite. That just means that there's stuff on your lens. And so if you're willing, it starts with asking some questions. Ask people, what is it about me that you love? And then, for me, it was being willing to be the kindness and sweetness, even if it's judged. I was okay with the enthusiasm bit. If I was too much for people enthusiastically, I was fine with that. Where I got really stuck was the kindness and the caring. Because the level at which I have that is not normal for this planet. And so it naturally puts people into judgment and separation or confusion because they're not used to being cared for with no agenda. It's not a narrative they know. And the crazy thing is, it ended up being that I perpetrated that on myself. I started doubting, am I kind? And I remember times where I was like, okay, I'm willing to acknowledge maybe I'm not kind. Maybe this is just a big fat lie. Maybe I'm just, pretending. However, it's the thing that shows up before, in a blink. And in a blink, I'm kind. In a blink, I care. And in a blink, I am enthusiastic. Sometimes a bit too playful. Playful puppy dog. So be willing to get uncomfortable. Be willing to look at the judgments you have of you with your gifts and talents and abilities. Because as I said, the majority of the planet will probably separate from you rather than going, yay, go Grace. That's fantastic that you've, realized you're kind, caring, and you're just showing up that way and you're enthusiastic and you've got this ease thing going on and there's so much more that you're contributing and, I'm just celebrating you. Very, very strange response from the majority of the planet. The majority of the planet will be saying, you're being irresponsible. You need to get a real job. You need to function this way. This is the right way to be. This is the wrong way to be. And please get this, guys. Your superpowers cannot function at their totality in a space of judgment. You will always get a separation from them or a watered downness, a bastardization of them. And as I said, it's super unkind to you, your body. And don't get me even started on the relationship between you and your body. It's like your body's going, we agreed to this. Let's get our capes on and let's go for this. And you're like, oh, no, because people don't, they respond really weirdly when I do it. And, let's just, and the body's like, no, I came here so we could fly. What are you doing? No, body wouldn't say it in that way, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm getting at. There's something so beautiful about someone who's raw and real, who's vulnerable. And vulnerable does not mean spraying your problems or spraying your story. Vulnerable is, how can I explain vulnerability? The willingness to see what is without judgment for everyone, including yourself. And a willingness to see your greatness, again, without judgment. So there's a world that I see, and it's a kinder, happier world. A world where we're celebrated, not tolerated. A world where we are empowered, not shamed. So I'm here to say to you, it doesn't matter what you've done before. It's a new moment. And one of the kindest things that you can do in this new moment is to stop buying the judgment and lies that you've perpetrated on you or bought from others that you perpetrate on you. And what if you got to the center of your flower and you started to acknowledge and put your presence on the gift that you be and your gifts, talents, and abilities? And what if you started to flow energy to that rather than the lies? And as you do, the drought will break, the waters will flow, and the kindness will be on the earth in a way that has never existed before, that now is possible. So it starts with energetic self-defense. And one of the most beautiful things that you can do to energetically defend yourself, and I'm saying that with a smile on my face, is be you. It's the ultimate defense. Because when somebody says something that's not true, it's like, okay, because you're energetically aware of what's true and what's not. You don't need to buy the defending, the justifying, or any of that. So my sweetness, let the superpower waters flow. Flow to you, receive them, acknowledge it, claim it, and then flow it out so we can all prosper. Because it's in our togetherness that we change the world. And funnily enough, we change ours too at the same time. Okay, have a great week, and I will catch you next time. Don't forget to put on that cape. Maybe it's time to fly. Just saying.